the power of energy and spirit is just so vast. I don't think people can grasp the concept of the magnitude of the healing power of the spirit world and from the self. That's Mike's lecture for today. So I've got all the technical stuff sorted out now. So we had a blank screen.
No.
So there we are. Fire away, Lynda.
What happened?
Well,
I was just going to say.
I was talking and there was a blank screen, and then I was talking, it was just me. Now everything's back to normal, just to let people know.
And I'm here. I am here, guys.
This short bandwidth that all this information has to go through, when this opening music comes up, it just can't cope with me loading all the stuff to the other channels. So, you know, there we are, but we're done now. What about your week, Lynda?
Where does it go, Mike? That's all I'm going to say. You know, I get so busy.
Yeah.
You know, I'm working on, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Word documents here on my computer that I can see next to my screen. And they're all works in works.
Work in progress.
I'm work in progress. That's the word I want. You know, I'm working on all of these, and this last week I have not had a chance to open any of them.
Right.
Because, you know, I've just been so busy with, well, I did an interview, and I will give him a plug. His name is Simon Bone, B-O-W-N. He's in the UK. He does Past Life Regression podcast.
Right.
I did an interview with him on Sunday, and before we started, he said, look, I only do my shows for an hour.
Right.
We spoke for 2 hours 15, and he said, can I get you back in 3 weeks?
Yeah.
So we've already organised a date in 2 or 3 weeks when he's given me 2 days.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's not just so much to say, oh, yeah, I've got an interview. It's me going outside for like an hour or two before these like interviews and going over what sort of things they want me to say, what will I talk about. Then, you know, you get off the computer and you think, well, now I need an hour or two downtime because, you know, what it's like, you know, with your headphones in for an hour or so. So, you know, people say, oh, but you only had that interview for an hour or 2 hours. What else do you do in the day? And it's, you know, I've got a daughter, housework, picking her up, going to school, doing groceries, housework, looking after other stuff that I do. Knitting, oh my God, I used to crochet, but I haven't even, you know, I would never be able to sit down right now and just do crochet. Actually, funny thing, I got a Netflix bill, and I thought, I haven't even watched Netflix for a month since last time I paid the bill. So that's how busy I'm getting. I don't even get time to sit here at night doing Netflix anymore.
Right.
You know, but just, I love it, Mike, because as you said, you know, there is this huge awakening that is happening. A lot of people are waking up to the reality of what is actually occurring. You know, just on our news feeds here in Australia, which I just told you about offline, they're now saying here in Australia 1 in 33% of people don't want the vaccine. And you look at that and you think, you know, 33, here's the 33. You know, it's all mathematics.
Yeah.
And then the media is turning it, like I saw the news report, and they said, oh, how these people are going to affect your freedom. I saw that straight away. Yeah. In other words, oh, my gosh, you can't get back to normal because there's 33% of the population who doesn't want it. That's what they want us to think. That's what they you know, and I wasn't asked. My daughter wasn't asked. You know, a couple of other people I know that don't want to have the vaccine, they weren't asked their opinion. So, you know, how high is this number in reality, you know?
A nice little number, though, 33.
If you don't know what we're talking about,
it becomes
look at it.
so obvious,
Yes,
you end up asking yourself how it is that people can't see through it. But there you
that's
are.
right.
That's
Yes.
what
You know, this is the wormhole or the rabbit hole that we talk about. Once you go into this and you think, wow, 33 is actually a very powerful number for this and that, because I can't say it on air, especially on Facebook. We'll get banned. But when you start delving into this and you think, oh my God, this is all mathematical equations. You know, why wasn't it 31 or 37%? Why 33? You know, it's just, it's right there in our faces.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, it's only when you actually sit there and you think, wow, I'm going to do a little bit of research.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I advise everybody to do. If you hear something, really analyze how it's said, because everything on our news, you've got to remember, guys, that everything on the news is a paid advertisement.
Yeah.
If you don't believe me, I'll just quickly give you some examples. You watch the news and the first thing is that there is a DV and a guy has killed a woman. That is actually a paid advertisement. So then you sitting at home watching the news, you then allow the government to put all this funding into domestic violence. If you see a car accident where someone gets killed at an intersection, that is a paid advertisement. So then through the insurance companies, they can then spend the money through the funding of the government to create that better intersection. So they need the public's approval to spend money. So this is how they gain it. And every single minute on the news, especially on all TV, every second has to be paid for. News reports are not free. Everything is paid for.
I'm shocked to hear this, Lynda. I am shocked. You know what?
There you go. There's my Skippy for the afternoon.
We got Skippy, the bush kangaroo. We got a lot to get through. I think we got some good material here today.
I think so too. And there's one there you're not going to like what I talk about.
Oh, okay. Well, look, I'll just run through what we got.
Do you know? Oh, well, let's just play a game with Mike and Lynda here. Do you know which one I'm talking about? There's one there where I'm just going to pull this one down in flames.
Okay. Oh, yes, I know which one you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait until we get to this one. Guys, keep watching. You're going to love what I say about this one, I tell you. Oh, my God.
Well, look, first off, we're going to...
I'm nasty. I'm not nasty. I'll just tell the truth.
We're going to look at this wonderful character, Alice Cooper.
Yay!
Real name, Vincent Damon Fernier. I mean, Damon.
Yeah, look at the middle name.
Right. Turns out now he's quite a nice character, born again Christian. But when we show you this clip and you know his history, you will understand why he was presented into this situation, synchronicity. But we look at that. We got this place here, Alton Towers, that's in London.
Ooh.
Alton Town Hall. Some strange goings on in there, which is not too particularly creepy. We got the NDE of Elizabeth Taylor, the near-death experience of Elizabeth Taylor. We got the David and Rosanna Arquette reading. And
you know which one I'm going to do now.
And finally, we are going to look at this is a beautiful, I called it the Angel Bouncers. It may appear to be a little bit scary and a little bit offish when you first hear it, but believe me, it isn't. This is a fabulous story. And I believe that this happens more to people than we actually believe it does.
That's right, because we don't get the confirmation.
Right.
So, guys, hang around for this one, because this story is a true story where the police actually said in their police statements that it was actually as it was.
Yeah.
So this is what went through the court processes when this guy got arrested,
Yeah.
of what he said and what he saw.
Yeah.
So this is if you want goosebumps, hang around, because this
Yeah.
story is amazing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, let's start off with Alice Cooper, just for the record.
Alice Cooper.
I quite liked a couple of his songs, actually, but I learned to detach the emotion or the occult from his whole persona, from his songs.
And
Otherwise,
I met him one time, don't you?
You met him or bit him?
I met him. I met him. Yeah.
Okay.
I went to a concert of his, and he just came down and just started talking to everybody.
Yeah.
You know, how often do you see Taylor Swift or I'll go there, Bon Jovi, ABBA, any of those people? You know,
No.
They don't come down and actually interact with the audience members after a show.
No.
And he came down just walking, just a normal guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just thought, my God, this guy is really nice.
Yeah, he's quite.
You know?
He's sorted himself out now, and
He
I
really
think
has.
he's done
Yes.
away with all the demonic and occult stuff. He's a born again
he-
Christian.
And I was upset because he didn't have any snakes on his live show.
Yeah.
Because he, if you've seen what he's done in the past with animals on stage, it's not good.
Yeah.
But, he obviously realised the consequences of what he was doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm glad that, he's changed himself, because, everyone's got that option to change our behaviours and to learn from our mistakes.
Yeah.
And he obviously is one of those rarities,
Yeah.
that, let's have a look at this footage, because this is awesome.
Yep.
What's happened to him.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Let's run this.
Alice Cooper is a king of mayhem on stage, and he's used to scaring people. But is there something that may have once scared him? In 1982, Alice Cooper was just getting out of rehab for alcoholism, and he wanted to ease himself back into the music scene slowly. So he agreed to a deal to write songs for the Italian horror movie Monster Dog. He also wanted to work with Joe Perry from Aerosmith, who was also just getting out of rehab. It seemed like the Monster Dog deal was a great opportunity for both of them to gently ease themselves back into their music careers. Alice's manager, Shep Gordon, suggested they work on their music for the film in a large abandoned house he owned in Copeg, New York. Alice and Joe both showed up with their assistants to this large, ominous house on Long Island that's right down the road from Amityville. It was described as the ultimate location to film a horror movie in a fairly secluded location, which also included its own lake. When Alice entered his room, he opened his suitcase, but then went into the bathroom. When he returned from the bathroom, his suitcase had been closed. At first he thought that maybe his assistant had closed it, but then he realized that the bathroom sink was on. He didn't remember leaving the water on, but he went into the bathroom anyway to go ahead and turn it off. When he returned, the suitcase was opened up again and a few shirts had been laid out on the bed. Alice went to his assistant's room to ask him if he'd been trying to help him unpack, but his assistant told him that he hadn't been in his room and said he'd been in his own room the whole time. So Alice and Joe set to work on writing music. They worked throughout the day, but when they took a break, they noticed the same type of activity happening again. Objects kept being moved around constantly. Felt like somebody was playing pranks. Alice called it a playful poltergeist, like kids were playing around and being mischievous. Until later. When they were all sitting down at dinner, noises started emanating out of the basement. They first credited this noise to the boiler, typical pipe noises, but the sounds persisted and grew louder. It sounded like large pieces of furniture were being moved around. Joe and the assistants admitted to Alice that they also experienced things being moved around in them all day long. Equipment and other things disappearing from one side of the room and reappearing elsewhere. While they discussed this, things under them kept moving around incessantly. Finally, Alice asked if anyone cared that something was going on downstairs. They all admitted it was pretty hard not to hear the escalating noise. It was extremely loud. They all decided to go downstairs and have a look. Alice felt pressure on his back as if somebody was pushing against him. He even felt fingers pressing into him. Alice called out, "Joe, very funny," thinking Joe Perry was behind him and trying to give him a scare. Joe from the other side of the room said, "What?" That was Alice's moment of panic. He told Joe, "There's a hand on my back right now." At that, they all ran out of the room and back upstairs, deciding right then and there that they were done with the creepy haunted house. They packed up their belongings and left immediately. When driving away from the house, Alice looked out over the lake, and he kept getting a picture of an old man standing there looking across the water. The next day, Alice called his manager, Shep, and asked him about the house, telling him it's haunted. Shep admitted that yes, the house actually was haunted, and that his mother once held a dinner party there, and the dining room table moved a foot to the right while everyone was sitting at it. He also told Alice that it was the house in which the Amityville Horror was written, although novelist Jay Anson is said to have written most of the Amityville Horror in New York City. Alice's reaction in disbelief was, "And you're telling me this now?" Alice also learned that the family who built the house, the first to have actually lived there, suffered a great tragedy. Sadly, one of the children drowned in the lake on the property. Some believe that it's this child's spirit that is the mischievous prankster. It's not known exactly who the old man may be, but others have seen him gazing out over the lake as well. Could he have possibly been the child's father, looking out at the spot where the child had perished? To rock star Alice Cooper, he felt like he was trespassing into the home of the spirits at this creepy haunted house.
So, well, I tell you, my thoughts on this, first of all, is actually nothing to do with the actual event that took place, but it's what I feel happens all the time here. You know, Alice Cooper is involved in some dark energy at the time. So naturally, you know, what you think you become and you attract. So he attracts a manager, which I would say is probably more darker than the rest of them. You know, I mean, there's just something looking at that man's photograph that tells me that he is, you know, into something quite deep. And, you know, any normal person would say, by the way, this house is haunted. And so I do feel that there was deliberate not mentioning this to everyone that was getting involved in there. So, you know, there was a lot of synchronicity going on there. Alice Cooper is with this manager because they're both into occult and darkness. And so you're in a house that has got a history of dark stuff going on. So are you surprised what's going to go on in that house?
Are you surprised?
You know, I would doubt
I
it.
like that.
You know,
we try and make this like a professional show, Mike. And are you surprised? I
mean, you step in there and you know, it was like last week with Aleister Crowley's house. What do you expect when you step in
what
there?
Do you expect?
Joy, love, laughter. You know, no, and you don't have to be psychic or intuitive. It's gonna hit you because the lower frequencies, the lower vibrations. As people ask me, why is it? Well, because the lower vibrations are the easiest thing to manifest in the world.
That's right.
Easiest thing, and that's why we're in the bloody mess we're in, actually, through our own
That's exactly
consciousness.
right.
But anyway, that's I'm on a real rant today. You know, we had such a high yesterday. I was in the astral all night, and I'm still like I'm on the Bolivian marching powder.
I know. You know? You're actually not sitting on a table. You're not sitting on your chair tonight, Mike. You're just hovering. You're levitating. With the energy. You know, I said it last week. You know, when we were talking about Aleister Crowley's house. Would I ever go there to do it like an investigation? No way. You know,
why invite trouble?
Why invite trouble? This house, you know, as soon as they said that the guy wrote the Amityville Horror while he was there. Now we've spoken about this before with the Omen, I think it was, where everybody got sick or died that was involved with that movie. The Exorcist. Thank you. And you know, what do you want? You know, you're creating this situation in our brain where you're bringing in all this negative energy, of course you're going to attract all this negative energy in.
Yeah.
So would I go to any of these places? Not on your life.
No.
Definitely not. I would not even consider going there because not only is it me respecting the site of being whatever's there, but I just know I do not wish myself to be inflicted with whatever could attach to me.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't go there. No way.
No.
But he went there, he saw it, he left, he now talks about it.
Yeah.
So good on him for actually advertising it, because a lot of people do go to these really wickedly haunted places and they just never talk about it again.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that he actually did talk about it,
Yeah, I mean, my experience, this is my personal experience, it might be different for someone else, but the only way I would do a clearing for that house is remotely. And I've never known anyone to get in trouble remotely clearing a house.
Yeah.
Because I think they like the physical attachment. But even then,
Yes.
I'd have to make sure that I would put it in the hands of my guides to say, yes, we can do this, no, we can't.
Yes, that's right.
Because we must remember, it's not for us as healers or house clearers or whatever to decide what house gets cleaned and what house doesn't.
That's right.
That's for higher people than us.
That's what I was actually just going to say. We're only the humans here.
Yeah.
This is a job for the archangels to come down.
Yeah.
Seriously. Because I've seen the angels. I've had angels here at my house before, and it just cleans out everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So leave it up to them to do their job. They know what they're doing. We're just mortals.
Yeah.
That get attached by all this stuff. So please, guys, if you do hear that someone's got like a bad situation in their house, don't just get on your high horse and say, oh yes, I can do this, and just walk in with your crystals and your sage, because you don't know what you're getting. Seriously.
I mean, there's an old shaman friend of mine. She used to say to some people, they're professionals going to healers, always looking for validation why they can't be healed. And as a healer, you'd know this straight away when someone comes to you, and she always used to say, no, I can't help you. Your problem is far too powerful for me. You best go with someone else. And they're like shock and horror. But there are some people that go round to all the healers just to prove that they're incurable. Well, okay.
Yeah.
You're incurable. Yeah.
That's right.
But
and as you know, if they want to be incurable, they will be.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because we do create what we think about. Yeah.
Well, look, let's, I don't know where the time is going. We're already half hour into the show.
I know.
But let's look at the Alton Town Hall experience with some creepy goings on, and this just sort of emphasizes what we were saying the other week when we was doing the table tipping, and the table, strange, I know, but hugged the lady because the table was in effect the energy of the mother. We couldn't pull the table away. Look, if we'd have all gone, we would have done it. But this little story here does emphasize the power of spirit and also the control that they can have when they move objects. So let's have a quick look at this one. Here we go.
The police station of Alton, New Hampshire was in the town hall basement. The chief, Thomas Mincewa, was on duty late at night when he heard it.
I heard noises and I came upstairs to investigate, and it sounded, because you could very distinctly tell front door closing and opening because it slammed, it was so heavy, and you could tell if somebody was walking in a hallway. And being downstairs, we would come upstairs to see who was in the building, because at the time the building upstairs was closed. and coming upstairs, you'd find no one.
Alton's town planner, Glenn McLean, is not the kind of man given to wild imagination. He's experienced it too.
You really start to feel like there's somebody right behind you. There are some physical things that happen. You feel your hair start to stand up on end. You feel that presence.
The local radio personality, Scott McKay, stayed in the town hall overnight. He thought to dispel the myth.
My impression coming in was one of skepticism, not too sure what I would find. I really didn't have a fixed thought on whether I believed in any supernatural or not. And when I left the next morning, I still wasn't too sure, but I do know that something happened.
It usually happens sometime after midnight. And it continues until 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. These are the hours of the Alton Town Hall ghost.
When you distinctly hear footsteps and you know them to be footsteps and hear the same type of noise and come up and not find anybody, check all the doors in the offices, find them all closed, and check the building and there's nobody there, makes you wonder.
There were a lot of times when things disappear. You go crazy looking for them because you're sure that they were where you left them. You look around, you can't find them, you come back, and they were where you left them. And you start asking yourself some questions.
The radio announcer, Scott McKay, thought he was going to make fun of the whole affair when he stayed alone in the building overnight.
When I left with the last employee. She was going off to a class. I was going out to get something to eat before I came back to settle in for the night.
You locked the doors.
Locked it up. I had supposedly the only key that I know of.
Lights were out.
Everything was turned off except the entrance light.
Yet when he returned, everything had changed.
When I came up to the room, all my stuff was gone. My whole gear, my sleeping bag, my knapsack. So I started looking around, came in this room here. Next thing I know, there it is in the judge's chair.
After finding his sleeping bag, he noticed his TV set was also gone.
After I retrieved my knapsack, I came over to the stairway here, and down at the bottom of the stairway was my monitor. Nothing wrong with it. It wasn't broken. It just looked like it had been placed down there.
All night long, he heard footsteps when no one was there, noises that no one was making, felt a presence that made his hair stand on end.
Even though I was lying here on the floor, supposedly alone in the building, something told me that I wasn't alone.
What he encountered was consistent with everything the police chief and his men had been quietly telling each other for years.
They would find lights on in the building as they drove past and turn around and come back to check them, and the lights would be out.
The sound of doors slamming has been a constant unexplained noise for anyone who stayed alone in the town hall after dark. The cell door in the old basement police station has been a sobering reminder that Alton's most famous building is never quite empty.
So, what do we all think here? If people want to comment here, this would be great. But Scott McKay, brave, foolish, arrogant, or just curiosity? It could be any one of those things. But why the ghost, Lynda? What's going on there?
Okay.
Residual energy?
Well, residual energy is actually what I first thought about.
Yeah.
Because let me just explain it for those who just don't understand ghosts. Residual energy is not intelligent. It's just like a record playing over and over again, which would suggest, in this case, why they're hearing things between 12 p.m. or a.m., is it? I don't know.
AM,
and 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Because if it's residual, then it's just like that recording every night. Boom, boom, boom. But there's a big but. Things going missing. That's not like a record going over and over again. So something is there. It could be more than one ghost, okay?
Yeah.
Where we've got something that is residual making these the same footsteps every night and the same doors closing, or you hear that same noise every night, okay? But then we've got to look at what is being moved and where does it get moved to. So the first thing was the sleeping bag turned up on the judge's chair. Why the judge's chair? So obviously they took something to get our attention.
Right.
But why the judge's chair? So there's something regarding the judge figure in this instance, okay?
Yeah.
Then we've got the monitor was on the stairs going downstairs. So there was something, it's sort of like putting it there like a breadcrumb, come down here. You know the old trail of the breadcrumbs that people do?
Yeah.
So they move it, so then we're already halfway to where they want us to go to.
Right.
So if I had been in that house that night in the town hall,
Which I wouldn't
when
have
this
been.
occurred, well, I actually would like to go to this place, okay?
During the day,
because
I'd be okay.
Well, I'd be there at midnight, tell you the truth.
Yeah.
11:45, I'd probably rock up, so that I was there ready for whatever happened. But for the monitor to be on those stairs, I would have gone down the stairs to see why they wanted obviously he got, you put the monitor halfway down the stairs to get them halfway down. And that's like, come on down the rest of it.
Yeah.
So I would have gone down the rest of the stairs. Obviously if the monitor was at the bottom of the stairs, he would never have found it. So they put it where you can see it.
Yeah.
But I would have gone down the stairs and looked around and seen if there's any activity. Obviously that would have been a great thing. But if there's any sort of evidence that would support who this person was down there. Is it the cell room? Is it the kitchen?
Yeah.
Is it where all the guards used to sleep?
Yeah.
So that gives you an insight into who it would have been, whether it was a guard, a cook, or a prisoner. So, that's where I would have liked to have just gone that little bit deeper with the story.
Yeah.
What was down those stairs? Because whoever was there wanted that guy to go down those stairs. That's why he's put the monitor there.
Yeah.
And, you've got to keep going back to the fact of, oh, my God, how did he move a monitor? Because there's no weight. Once you realise that we move things with energy, there's no weight. It's like an anti-gravity where, when you look at people who can teleport things with their mind, it's called telekinesis. The reason how we can do that, because I've done it a few times, I know how to do it, but it's extremely hard because I just don't practice it over and over and over. But we don't look at the actual object. You've got to look at the energy within the object. And it doesn't matter if it's a 10-ton truck or a feather.
Yeah.
It's the same amount of energy
Yeah.
that we then have to move. So, someone's there playing silly buggers. That's what I think, tell you the truth. There was no harm. There's no malice. No one's getting pushed down the stairs. And even the guy said they didn't break the monitor. They just put it there.
Yeah.
So
Controlled.
I would definitely go and have a look at this place if I live there and try and find out who is actually there and what their story is, because they're trying to get the attention. They want the attention. They've obviously got a story to tell. So, yeah, I'd go there. Definitely. I wouldn't go to the Alice Cooper's house, but I'd go to this one. I'd go to this one, because that you're not going to get hurt there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
was it residual?
It doesn't seem as though this spirit wanted
Yeah.
to hurt anyone,
Yeah.
but you were impeaching on his time frame or her time frame, and
That's
so
right.
you're in my home now between 12 and 3. So you've either got
Yes.
to put up with what I do,
Yes,
or leave.
that's right. Well, and you've got to remember here too, who would be in a town hall at 2 to 3 a.m.? A night guard? It's probably not the judge, because judges don't work at 3 in the morning.
No.
So, it's obviously somebody, either a prisoner or a night guard type of situation there, where they've got a story to tell. Who knows unless you go there and communicate with them. Yeah. So, yeah, I'd go there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair play to you.
Yeah, I'd definitely go to that one. Yeah.
Fair play to you for that one. So, well, I think we've kind of exhausted all we need to talk about with the Alton Town Hall. It's interesting to see, because that was, I think, taken in the late 90s, that video. I'd be interested to see what the situation is now with that place.
That's right. Yes, whether there's been any remodeling, renovations done there that may have affected it, you know, you don't know.
No.
But yeah, I definitely go there and check that out. If you know, pity I wasn't in London now. I'd go there tomorrow. Tell you the truth, I would. I'd go there tomorrow and just have a look around and find out the history of the place.
I mean, you know, I've spoken before to people about this, but even if they take down the structure, in the spirit world, that structure is pretty not much important, because they have the structure they want, which could be exactly as the physical structure. So you know, like for example, in the UK, there was a notorious paedophile called Jimmy Savile, and when he died, and all the BBC didn't know about this man at all, even though he worked for him for 30 years, you know.
Wow.
But they, and a friend of Prince Charles, and they burnt the house down. They took the house down, they said, you know, because of this man and da. But the energy is still there in that spot where the house was.
That's right.
In many ways, it's quite futile doing that. It's just, you know, let's do something for the people. So you've got to clear the energies, is what I'm saying. The house,
that's right.
The structure of the house is irrelevant.
So can I just add to that? You know, how many times have we seen movies, etc., where ghosts can fly, or they appear up in the air? Okay, this is so. How I debunk that to people, which adds on to what you were just saying. Imagine a 10-story high building. Someone dies up on the 10th floor. Okay? So they've died up on the 10th floor. They tear that building down and they build a 1-story house on that land. You will still see that ghost at the 10th floor. So when you look up, you'll see him at night trying to get out the window or whatever he was trying to do to save his own life at that point. When he died up there or whatever was going on. Because with the energy, when people die, you've got to remember that's why ghosts appear to walk through walls, because before it was remodeled, you'll find out that there was a doorway there that they're actually still walking through. And that's, you know, they don't look at the physical now. They're still in that physical energy of what was when they were alive. So, so that adds on to what you were just saying there, Mike, how, you know, because there have been stories where you see, you know, you look up at night and there's a ghost in like 3 stories above you, because there used to be a house there that was 3 or 6 stories high.
Okay. Super. Let's have a look at Liz, shall we? Elizabeth Taylor.
Absolutely. Doesn't she look gorgeous?
She does, doesn't she?
Let's go.
Here we go. This is Elizabeth Taylor's NDE, near-death experience.
Did you not have a near-death experience earlier?
I did in London about 30 years ago. And I was pronounced dead 4 times. Once I didn't breathe and I had no vitals for 5 minutes.
Wow.
And that was the time that I had the near-death experience.
I want you to tell us what that was like, but I was asking about this experience with the pneumonia because I was wondering if the near-death experience makes you not be afraid of dying.
Oh, absolutely. I know I wasn't afraid because of that. It was when I had the out-of-body experience and could see the people working around me, I tried desperately to move an eyelid, a finger, something to let them know that I could hear them saying, well, I think we've lost her. And I was saying to myself, no, you haven't. I'm here. But I was like out. And then I went into this, I sort of floated into this tunnel. And there were other figures that I recognized, and this welcoming like sun, white sun, and warmth, and like being in liquid mercury. It was like being weightless.
Wow.
And Mike Todd was there. And I wanted to be with him more than anything in the world. He'd been dead about 3 years, and I was still mourning him. And he said, "No, baby, you can't. It's not your time. You can't come over. You have to fight to go back. You have to fight to go back." And I said, "But I want to be with you." And he said, "You can't now. I'll be here. You have to fight to go back." And evidently, while this was happening, my hands were like in fists. And they tried to unclench my hands. I was reported dead. It was on the bulletin board. I even read my own obituaries.
Really? How?
It was in all the papers.
Oh, my God.
That I had died. I've never had such good reviews.
And so how do you know it wasn't a dream? How do you know that?
I don't. And I didn't talk about it for years. When I came out of it, when I came out of the whatever it was, I mean, I wasn't breathing. There were about 11 doctors in the room, and I told them all what I'd experienced because I felt like I had to tell somebody so I wouldn't later on think I was crazy. And then I thought, that does sound so crazy, I don't think I'm going to tell anybody else. And for years, I didn't say anything. And then I started reading about other people having the same kind of experience. They all vary slightly. Then I thought, there's got to be something to it. There are just too many people who've gone through it. I know I did. Just because I haven't talked about it doesn't mean that it wasn't as real as the day it happened.
Yeah, and I think more and more people are talking about their NDEs now, and I think more and more nurses are willing to share what people have said. My experience with doctors is still a little bit sceptical for the mainstay of them all, but even then, more and more are beginning to accept this. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Yes, you know, I was just doing an interview last Sunday night. And the guy interviewing me, he actually said to me, "Why is it taking you so long to start talking about it?" And I said, because I had to fathom what I had been through. I couldn't understand where I'd been because, you know, back in 2001 there was no internet or support networks or even how to explain what I'd been through because I didn't know any terminology like near-death experience. But, you know, Elizabeth Taylor, she's actually, one of her quotes in there was, "For years I didn't say anything." Because you just don't know how it's going to be accepted by people. You know, you don't know, is this the end of my acting career? You know, because Liz Taylor was so big. And for her to be sitting there on the Oprah Winfrey show, how honest, unless something... You know, she's fabricating, but why would she? She was already famous. She was already wealthy. Why would she fabricate this story? You know, so then you've got to go into a little bit more here and say, well, did she just make this up? No, Liz Taylor actually was in hospital extremely sick about 3 years after Todd died. You know, Mike Todd was his name. So, you know, she ended up getting the hole in the throat where they put the tube in here. So she did have a scar. But I think that happened to her when she was even younger. But she was in hospital. So why would you make this stuff up for? Seriously, why would you make it up? She said she had no reason to make it up unless it was real.
I mean, here's an interesting thought. First of all, Kimberly says, "Nurse here, I never knew until I asked the patient." So
yes,
more power to you for that.
That's right.
But Hazel in Denmark, in Europe here, has a question. She said. Actually, it says she said 5 minutes. She died. How can it be in the papers? You know, if she only weren't around there for 5 minutes, she doesn't believe it. So what are your thoughts on that?
Because media are so, when you've got a high-profile person like this, you've got to think of who gets the headline first out there because they get all the money.
Yeah.
So, of course, when Liz Taylor died, there was still a lot of newspapers, magazines, etc., getting printed. And to come out with that first newspaper with a very high-profile person's death, they would have sold out off the shelves within 10 minutes.
Right.
Because in that next 10 minutes, everybody else is printing their papers.
Yeah.
So as soon as they heard, someone at the hospital heard, oh, my God, we've just lost her, he would have run straight out, made a phone call, and they would have been printing within 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So, and then when, you look at Princess Diana, when she died, everybody was reporting that she was still alive, even the next day after she died. There were so many conflicting stories because it was only people on the ground actually there seeing the real thing, putting it out there, oh, no, she's actually died now.
Yeah.
So, so with media, it's first in, best dressed.
Yeah.
And even when, when Liz, it is because of the headlines. When you've got physical newspapers, it might only be $1 for a newspaper, or in America it's still like 25 cents or whatever, but you multiply that by 2 million.
Yeah.
And we're talking a lot of money in getting that first headline.
Yeah.
What's it called? The breaking news.
Yeah. Yeah.
To be the first to report it.
Yeah.
So I thoroughly do believe, because Liz Taylor died, 15, 20, I don't know, however many years ago. But, back then there were still printing newspapers and you couldn't just find this information out on the internet straight away.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I reckon that's why.
There is the risk as well that was a set-up question, so that people could have this little laugh. But this might actually help Hazel answer this. This was a real situation with regarding my mother. And I called the ambulance because, she was just sitting in the chair and for all intents and purposes, she had died. I called the ambulance and they said, no, she's still alive, but she's very poorly. So they took her up to the hospital. They said, nothing you can do right now, come up after. So, okay. So, I mentioned this to somebody that I'm going up the hospital, mum's pretty poorly and it doesn't look like she's going to make it. Within an hour, I get a message from America, sorry for your loss. What loss?
Yes.
We've heard that Olga died. Well, no, she hasn't just yet.
Yeah, that's right.
Then I get one from my wife who was in Russia. Michael, I'm so sorry. What for? I've just heard from somebody in America who sent condolences to Elizabeth. And then my brother calls. Well, have you got something to tell me? Oh, holy shit. Talk about wishing someone dead. And at that time, she hadn't died. All I had said was, it doesn't look like she was going to make it. And she didn't. But this is how quick, Hazel, things can move.
Happen, yes.
Nothing moves faster in this world than people wanting to tell other people that someone has died, and it's even faster when it's a celebrity. So,
especially someone like Liz Taylor.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
because she was big. If you can remember her, she was big.
Yeah.
She was guest appearing on all these shows in her later years, doing so much with the AIDS Foundation.
Yeah.
She was she was the precursor of Princess Diana when you really think about her. Just because of all the good causes that she was involved with as well. So why would she elaborate something like that? There's no reason for it.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, look, Lynda, normally we finish off with the work of a medium. But I know how it's going to end.
I need to talk about this one.
So what I'm going to do is put the beautiful story at the end, so we all go home.
Good man, I'm glad
uplifted.
for that.
Okay?
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
let's play this one about the reading with Rosanna and David Arquette from, is it Tyler Henrys, is his name?
It is, yep, the Hollywood medium. Yep.
Okay, here we go. Let's watch this one.
So they're having me talking about the four. For some reason, they're having me talk about like 4 kids, 4 siblings, like the 4 situation.
Oh my gosh, just got the chills.
But they're having me talk about 4. So do we know where the 4 would be within the family?
Yes.
There are 4 of us.
Oh, nice. Okay, very cool. So the way I would describe this is when I have an energy coming through that's like a contemporary, they'll show it being on the same level. And a contemporary is typically someone who would be generationally like around our same age. We'll get into more what this is, but it's that kind of energy that to me feels almost kind of premature, as I would be viewing like too soon. It's interesting, like sometimes they'll come through and want to talk to parents or refer to like other people in family, but there's really a priority about wanting to refer to the siblings and talking about the siblings. And it's just like, that's where all the focus is. It's like,
It's important.
it's like essential. And I keep hearing sister, 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 sister. I don't know what this is, but it has a couple different, there's like a double meaning with this that I'm trying to pick up on. There's a feeling of like, I wish I could stick around longer because now like this is when I would start having opportunities. And like they're showing me like, I don't know what this is, I'm seeing fashion shows and references to like, I'm seeing my picture being taken in photography and all this stuff. I don't know if this was stuff that was like planned or in the works at the time. So where does that apply for you guys?
We have had a sibling that passed away a year ago yesterday.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Alexis, who was our transgender sister,
Oh.
but was very comfortable, was both at the end. It didn't matter.
Right.
So a year ago yesterday died. And Alexis came out 20 years ago and was the famous person who was a boy who wanted to be a girl and was a pioneer. And I think it was sad because it's more accepted now.
Right.
And Alexis would be doing such incredible work.
That's so sweet. Despite passing at what I would consider to be like untimely, there's a feeling of acceptance. And I know this is kind of hard to explain, but this person gives me this feeling of like I was okay to go before I died, but despite the fact that this feels like sudden or fast or quicker, there's a feeling of like I've thought about this before. This almost is like someone who would have taken into consideration the idea that they might not live a full life. And it's kind of like understanding this and processing this. But the feeling with this is really like very much so wanting it to be known. There's a sense of peace before I pass.
Yes.
And a knowingness around this of I'm okay, I'm fine. Like I knew, and I'm okay.
So I'm pretty psychic, Lynda. I think I know what you're going to say, but I felt it was important to get this out. Go on, I'll hand this over to you.
Okay. You know, the beauty of you and I, Mike, we know that mediumship is real. Okay? And I've got to admit, you know, I do about anywhere from 3 to 5 readings a week. And I classify a good reading as obtaining information that there is no possible other way of knowing unless it came intuitively or from my guides during the reading. The same with what you would agree.
Yeah.
When I watched that video, I'll be honest and I'll tell you what I did. I went out into my backyard with my phone and a coffee and I put in David Arquette into Google. And it came up with David Arquette with all his siblings. So I clicked on Alexis, which they just mentioned, Alex, and there on Wikipedia is everything that Alexis had done in her life. She did pass in 2016, so this video was done in 2017 because Rosanna actually said she died a year ago yesterday.
Right.
So it was a year ago. So he would have, I don't say he definitely did. I'm not saying he definitely didn't, but there is high probability that suggests everything he said in that reading was what he got from Wikipedia. I now know so much about Alexis. She was born a male. She went transgender in high school. She actually got AIDS. But she was a high-profile celebrity in America. She had her own TV show, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
So this Tyler Henry, who says, I have no way of knowing anything about my clients.
Yeah, I mean...
But everything he just said, well, the interview could have been edited to take out private bits. We don't know.
Yeah.
But the bits that were released was everything I found out on Wikipedia the other day when I looked at your file. So...
You've been looking at my file, Lynda. What sort of person
I'm a stalker, Mike.
We'd like to know a little about you for our files.
Well,
Carry on.
I'm a researcher, and when it comes to the paranormal, there's a very, very, very thin line. It's thinner than a hair. The difference between what is real and what is fake.
Yeah.
Because there's so much fakeness being able to be out there now. But, you look at this Tyler Henry, and so it was interesting because, as a researcher and an analyzer, I've researched David Arquette, found out everything about Alexis. Then I went and I had a look at Tyler Henry, the little kid. And guess what? His show is now cancelled. Guess why?
Go on.
Because everything he says in his readings is on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that he's not a medium. I'm not saying that he's accurate with his readings because, hello, we want the real ones out there getting promoted because, it helps us, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
But when I hear people taking advantage and totally screwing over real people out there who are broke but genuine people in the industry, it irks me so much, and we all have our karma in life. And the reviews that I was reading about the other day on Tyler, where there's just so many out there saying he's a cold call prophecy. Cold call is when you already know the information, by the way, or you just make it up because it's so generic for everybody. It's like me saying to you, oh, Mike, I've got your great-grandmother here. She died. Hello? Whose great-grandmothers are still alive, when we're in our 30s ourselves, you know what I mean? So that's cold calling. But you don't know what was said off camera. You don't know what was in that before it was edited for TV. But you know what? If he did want, now this is the irkiness, if he did want to be a respected medium on TV, he would be throwing in the stuff that you can't get in Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Doing a simple Google search of their names. He would be throwing things out there like their cat when they were 3 and its name was Motley. You know what I mean? So then they say, well, there is absolutely no way he could possibly know that. So...
Well, I was given his book to read and I read his book, and it's quite interesting because it is very, very clear he was pushed by his mother.
Oh, yes.
Into...
Guess who's his researcher? So how? This is the other thing we've got to ask ourselves. How does he get these clients? Because they're all celebrities.
Yeah.
Would they be contacting him and say, hey, mate, I want to be on your show?
No.
No,
And
it's the other way around. His mum would be sitting there at home making phone calls to all their agents and saying, hey, I've got this my son's a psychic medium. He's on TV. Would you like your your talent to appear on his show? That's how this stuff works. So it's unfortunate, you know, because this kid's going, where does he go from here? Seriously. You know, he'll probably end up in a little caravan in some little hippie town where, you know, oh, come and see me, $100 for a reading, you know, and he'll sit there with his little hippie balls and his, his hippie beads and his crystal ball. Because, mate, there's nowhere else for him to go now.
No.
Now that his show's been cancelled and he's been called a fake, he's really got to go and get an accounting job or work in a bank or something else that he probably won't like.
I mean, it is unfortunate. It is unfortunate that people have been calling him that. I think he's got something. I think he has. It's also
well, obviously he has. But you know, you look at some. You know, I've got a very well. She likes to think she's very famous. She doesn't live very far from my house. You know, she's about a 20-minute drive away from me. She was doing live shows, so I thought, damn, you know, here we've got the psychic medium doing live shows. Wonder what she's like. So I went onto her website and I had a look at her bio. And even on her bio, she says, I once saw a shadow. What? You saw a shadow once? And now you're on stage charging people. Who the hell are you getting to come through? Because you only saw a shadow. You didn't talk to it. You didn't get any information from it. You don't even know if it's male or female because, hello, you're calling it a shadow. You know? So at the end of the day, you know, I look at these phonies because, it's very easy to be a phony because you just use psychological tricks. But at the end of the day, you know, as I said, I like getting that little bit of confirmation, you know, and it doesn't always happen. You know, it's up to what comes through, etc.
I mean,
but
the producers I read did say that he doesn't know who he's going to. I mean, you have to take that with a pinch of salt also.
One of his clients was Taylor Swift. Come on, we've got a guy who's 20 and he doesn't know Taylor Swift? Seriously, come on. Does this guy go home and live in a box under his bed every day? You know, seriously.
I mean,
he's 20.
I feel kind of sorry for him in as much as that I think he's actually, and he doesn't realise it, like a puppet on the string. He's being pulled in all directions. And the media love it. You know, he's a cute, good-looking kid. You know, he's television presentable. But unfortunately, I think the powers to be are really using and manipulating him. And I would like to just allow him the opportunity to do something like Shah Margolis, something like Lisa Williams and John Edward, and without all the razzmatazz, and give him an opportunity to prove himself.
Give him an opportunity. You know, I put him in the same category as Brooke Shields. You know, she was forced into acting by her mum. Her mum was, oh my God, look at the mum during her life. You know, and it's only when she separated from her mum that she got into the shows that she wanted to do. You know, so you don't know if this guy's been pressured to do this or not, you know, because, you know, it's like Leif Garrett. He had to do the songs that he was told to do. He wanted to be a big rock and roll star in the 70s. You know, and look how his life turned out. Oh my gosh. You know, so I hope and pray this young guy doesn't lose his self in this. You know, I hope that now that this show's been cancelled, he can go on and say, you know what?
I'll do my thing.
I'm going to do what I'm going to do now. You know, because obviously that one didn't work. So I hope that he has that strength. You know, I always send everyone love and light. But I honestly don't think that that was his purpose, if you want to call it purpose. That wasn't his purpose.
No.
You know,
Well,
it was good because, we need advertising out there, Mike. You know, we need
Lynda,
people to believe in this stuff.
He's already got a client. Hazel says he can talk to me. So they...
Hazel, you're a lovely lady, you know. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad that you're watching tonight, Hazel.
Well, Lynda, Hazel, you better pull up about $600 if you want him to talk to.
Only.
So,
Come on. He's a celebrity now.
Yeah.
To go and see him, it's probably $5,000. You know. Oh my God.
Well, I tell you what, let's put dear old Tyler at one side and wish him well, and
Yes,
let's look at this
we
beautiful
do.
last excerpt here.
Oh,
This
are
is
you ready for your goosebumps? Because here it comes.
this is the what I called the angel bouncer, and it's a very inspirational story, I feel, because I believe this happens to us, not in the same experience, but throughout our lives. I honestly feel that angels are around us, guiding us, protecting us from situations that we actually cannot foresee. So we'll get more into that in a minute. Let's just run this and give us all your opinions.
A rapist was well known to be stalking a college campus. All girls were strictly warned never to walk alone at night. But Karen needed to get from her car to her dorm room. All the while, the rapist waited. This is a true story.
And to avoid going out at all.
God, how am I going to get from my car to the door?
The city council approved the new city.
God, protect me.
Please help me. I'm on campus and the rapist is outside. Oh my God, please help me. Please help me.
It's the police, Karen. It's okay now.
Are you sure? Yes, it's him. Thank you.
We've got him. You're safe now.
Oh my God.
Karen, we'd like you to make an ID. Are you up for that?
Me?
It's okay. I'll go with you. My partner has him outside.
Yes, that's him. That's the man that was in the bushes.
Okay, John, take him to the car.
Wait.
What?
Ask him why he just let me walk on by. Why?
Why'd you let her go?
Look, buddy, you can make this a lot easier on yourself. I wasn't about to touch her. Not with those two big guys with her.
There wasn't anyone with me.
Cute, honey. I saw those guys.
But I was alone.
Well, whatever he saw. Thank someone. Thank God. It saved you from him. Night, ma'am.
So, there we go. Wonderful story, I think. Beautiful story. And I think this kind of thing happens to many, many people without us knowing about this. What do you think, Lynda?
Well, I actually want to go back to the beginning of that clip where she's in the car.
Mm-hmm.
Think about what she did before she got out of the car. What do we call it? A prayer?
Yeah.
A request? Whatever. She put out that intention with trust
Yeah.
and belief and asked for help and that they would protect her, walk into the dorm room.
Mm.
And they obliged because this report was verified in the court documents and the police statements saying that that criminal saw 3 people walk into the dorm room.
Yeah.
So it goes back to our intention.
Yeah.
You know, if we generally trust them that they're going to help us, the angels I'm talking about, and we put that unconditional belief to work like she had to in that situation, getting out of her car, so she's now vulnerable. And that man was there in the bushes. You know, that could have turned out to be a very scary night for her if she'd survived it. And for her to actually get out of the car, you know, it just, it gives me the tingles, Mike.
Yeah.
You know, that they do listen to us constantly.
Yeah.
And if we put out that intention where we trust them so impeccably, they will help us as much as they can.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I often think sometimes with myself, you know, I walk down the road and sometimes I'll use another road or I cross the pavement and, you know, nothing happens, no rhyme or reason. And I sometimes think to myself, well, what would have happened if I had turned left there and gone to my direction that way? Why did I just decide, I'm going to go this way today?
That's exactly right. You will drive yourself nuts if you actually sit there and try and psychoanalyze it.
Yeah.
You know, it may have just been you falling over the gutter. It could have been a car missing a corner. It could have been a whole world of situations that you've been prevented from.
Yeah.
But the fact is that you went with that gut feeling.
Yeah.
You trusted it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Pardon me. And, you know, when we get those little niggly feelings of, I'll just cross the road here. I usually do it up there, but I'll do it here now. You don't know what the consequences could have been. You know, you might have tripped and broken your leg coming off the gutter, and they've stopped you from doing that because there's no time up there. They see the whole from birth to death. They know our whole story.
Yeah.
So they do intervene when it's to get us back on track.
Yeah.
So, you know, I thoroughly believe her story, you know, for it to go into the police documents for court. Oh my gosh, it's an amazing story. And, you know, we like ending these shows on a great feeling.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad that you got that one for us this week, Mike, because, you know, we get so consumed with this three-dimensional world and we don't know who to trust anymore. You know, and when you think, you sit there at night time and you think, well, I can't trust the news anymore. They've lied. I can't trust the government with what they're doing. I can't trust my neighbour. Oh, he just lied. Can't trust my ex-husband because he just lied and cheated or whatever the hell happens in our lives. But when you sit there and you think, this life only lasts for 1 century and my soul is centuries and centuries and centuries to the millennia old.
Yeah.
And this life doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But the only thing that does matter during this lifetime is how I treat and others and how much love I share with other people, because that's ultimately all that matters.
Yeah.
And, you sit there and you think, well, okay, well, love conquers all, but I still have all these issues and stuff, but I can't trust them, can't trust them, can't trust them. But we can trust them.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's probably why so much good is coming to you and myself this year, because there's so many people failing because they're just not trusting the right things.
And I would go add something onto that. To me, it seems very clear that we are witnessing very, very clearly old souls from new souls.
Yes.
The old souls are more relaxed, calm. It is what it is. We do what we can. We know we're going to change this. And they kind of shifted into that new frequency, as it were. The younger souls are still trying to hang on and trying to either keep how things were or try and fight what's going on with that same frequency that's caused the damn issue in the first place.
Yes.
It's also very clear. I might say, since we are going to do a show on time travel at some point, it's not strictly speaking time travel, although it's in it. The Pleiades are very, very strong right now at this time. And, they are souls as well. And they are sometimes angels. Angels are not always earthly. A lot of the higher realmed angels don't even touch the earth plane, are humanoid, but not even human. So we shouldn't dispel that. So, so more and more help is coming to those who open their heart, trust, and don't question, just allow.
That's right. And that is how we, if you do want to sit there and you think, how do I trust this stuff? How do I trust this? All you've got to do is surrender to it.
Yeah.
And that's all you've got to say. I surrender. I allow you to start working with me.
Yeah.
As soon as you say those words, we're giving that consent. We're giving that permission for them to start helping us.
Yeah.
Because everything in the universe is for free will.
Yeah.
It has to be consensual.
Yeah.
So as soon as we actually just say the words, and we mean it, because you've got to mean it with intention.
Yeah.
As soon as you say, you know what, I am really going to try. Hang on. Take the word try out of it.
I'm going to allow.
I am going to
I'm allowing, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So don't just half-wit it and say, oh, yeah, I'll try this.
Yeah.
You've got to commit yourself 100%.
Yeah.
Mike's there, I'm there, and look at our lives. We may be broke, but that's only a representation of this three-dimensional world. But look at our health.
Yeah.
Look at our happiness. Our contentment, that pursuit of happiness.
Yeah.
We could chase it forever.
Yeah.
Or you just stop and realize that you've already got it.
Yeah.
Because that's when it manifests, when you realize that you've already got it.
Yeah.
And it is so beautiful when you hear all these angel stories coming out, because it just shows that they really do help us. Sometimes we see the consequence of it, like that girl where she got that confirmation from that rapist saying, I saw the two guys with you.
Yeah.
A lot of times we don't know why we crossed the road when we did.
Yeah.
Or why
Actually,
did I get this injury?
It's not even important to know.
But, like I've got somebody, he had a work-related injury about 3 months ago. He thought his life was over.
Yeah.
And I said to him, mate, what else do you like? And he said, funny thing, I've done this job for 20 years. I hate it. I said, though, so you've now been put into the position where you can do what you want.
Yeah.
You know, you just twist it around from being such the worst case scenario in your life to the opportunity of a lifetime. And you sit there and you think, wow, thank God this happened to me. Thank the angels. Thank the beings. You know, thank the universe. Whoever it is you want to thank, because it's all ultimately the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, but you give that graciousness and that appreciation to them.
Yeah.
And they will look after you if
Absolutely.
they know that you've got the right intention to do it.
Yeah.
You know, so, oh, gosh, I love our angel stories, Mike, because, you know, it's, hey, can I tell you that what happened to me in hospital back in the 80s?
Go on then.
When I saw an angel, okay, I got sick with a flu and the ambulance came. I never lost consciousness, okay? Never lost consciousness. They put me into hospital and the doctor came in and he said, oh, you've got pneumonia, okay? We're going to admit you. You've got a pneumonia. So they put me into this bed. And the bed next to me was an old lady. And past her, it was the glass window of this room. So where my feet were, on the other side, it was the bed end of other two beds. So there was 4 beds all like that. So my feet were here to the other bed against the wall. In the middle, I couldn't sleep because, hello, who can sleep when you first go in hospital? But I sort of dozed off. And when I woke up, I was lying on my side facing this lady. And I was looking at her and it was wrong. The whole thing was wrong. And I couldn't work it out straight away because, you know, I was sick. And then I looked under her bed and the whole bed was lit up. Like there was a light under there. And I thought, what the hell? There's a light? No, there's no light under her bed. It's just lit up. So I'm looking around the room where she is, and there was no shadows anywhere. There was no shadows. So I thought, wow, is this everywhere? So I've rolled over onto my back, and above me, if I put my hand up, she would have been about another foot above that. Yeah. There was a woman floating above me, above my bed. So her head was in line with mine. And she had long brown hair, and it was, you know, when you're underwater and your hair does this like wave, so I'll do it on both sides, right? You know when you're underwater and your hair does this type of effect where it all just goes like curly? Her hair was doing that. And she had on this very plain brown dress, and it had like a roped, woven belt around her waist. So as I looked down, you know, the belt sort of fell down towards her knees. And under her knees, she had no feet. That was pretty important because that's what happened to me in 2001. You know, 20 years later, when I died, I didn't have any feet either. So she's hovering above me. So I'm looking at her and I said I spoke out loud and I said, oh my God, who are you? And then on my inside voice, I heard, everything's going to be all right. So I've tried to put my hand out to touch her, and she's moved backwards up towards the ceiling, so I couldn't touch her. So I brought my hand back down, and I'm thinking, wow, you know, I haven't had many drugs tonight to cause this reaction, you know, this hallucination. But she's come back down towards me, and she put out, as she brought in her hand, the middle finger sort of came in like that.
Right.
And she brought her middle finger down and she was going to touch me just here on my third eye. But just before she touched it, I went to sleep. In the morning, probably 9 o'clock, the doctors came in to see how I was. He put on the stethoscope, he did the ear temperature, he did my blood pressure, and he said, I'll be back in a couple of minutes. So he left, came back with 3 other doctors, so now there's 4 in the room, and they're They're checking my breathing, doing this, doing that, doing that. They said, why are you in hospital? You're one of the healthiest people we've ever seen. Now, I got admitted at about 10 o'clock at night with an extreme case of pneumonia. Not even 11 hours later, they're calling me one of the most healthiest people they've ever seen. What happened?
Yeah.
So they actually asked me that question. What happened? And I said, do you really want me to tell you the truth? Because I was up walking around by this time.
Yeah.
And they said, we cannot understand this. This is just so off the grid of medical reasoning here. Because last night we thought you were going to die, and today you've got no phlegm on your throat, on your chest. You're breathing normally. You've got your, you can walk. Blah blah blah. And I told them about this lady, and within about 10 minutes I was discharged and told to go home.
Right.
So whether they believed it or whether it was them in disbelief just trying to get me out of the hospital, I don't care. But I know what I saw that night.
Yeah, yeah.
Was she an angel? She didn't have wings, because I've seen angels with wings before.
Right.
Don't know who this woman was, but I will tell you something very specific about her. Her face was extremely pale, and it was dimensional. I could see into her skin.
Right.
And I called it melted marshmallows. I was reading something online, probably 2010, about a man who said he saw an angel, and she had skin like melted marshmallow. So I wish I'd kept a copy of that guy's report, because I lost it. Now I can't find it. But for him to say in his report her skin was like melted marshmallow, that's exactly what I saw on this lady hovering above me in hospital back in the mid-1980s, somewhere around 87, 88 that would have been. So these beings can come to us regardless of how we are and what we're doing, because I wasn't fulfilling my role as a psychic medium back then. I was working with Australia Post, and I was distracted with life and my first husband, etc. So, they do help us, whoever she was, because whether she was just an unwinged angel, she could have been my spirit guide, she could have been this woman standing beside me every day now, coming in to heal me. But, we just have to trust that these things do exist.
Yeah.
And everything becomes real as a consequence of their actions to us. Yeah.
And that's a perfect place to end today's show, Lynda. So thank you.
I hope that, we all need a little bit of love and trust in the world at this point, Mike.
Yeah.
And I hope that that's what we instill in people.
Yeah.
And all you've got to do is just look to the sky like I do probably 20, 30 times every day, because that's true. I just look to the sky and I say, you know what? Thank you for what you do for me. If a friend rings me, I go outside, I look into the sky and I say, thank you for allowing her to ring me today. Everything I say thank you to them, because the more we give to them, the more they do return it.
Yeah.
So have a little faith in your hearts, guys. I don't sing anymore. Put a little love in your heart, whatever, if you know that song. And the world will be a better place, because it really will be a better place.
Yeah.
Trust that this whole mess that's going on the planet, it's going to end soon.
Yeah.
Trust that it's not going to succeed. Passports to go from country to country, state to state, that's not normal. Come on, guys.
No.
It's going to, and the more energy that we do put into it, the more it will succeed. So stop giving them the energy. Stop living in that fear of that they want us to. Start loving things again, and everything will turn out all right. Why do you think Mike just last night had such a great healing night? Because the energy on the planet is shifting.
Yeah.
And it's amazing once you tap in and connect to it. Yeah.
Okie doke. Everyone, thanks for watching, listening, whatever. Good night for all you people on the other side of the water. We're approaching 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's 12:30 in the afternoon here.
Yep, 8:30 p.m. here in Brisbane. So wherever you are on the planet, good morning, good evening, or good night. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all again next week.
See you next week. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.